gents, I'm not going to use the ball today, I'm just going to do normal Pilates without the ball. So I'll mute it and we're ready to go. I'm going to level myself up. That's better. I'll mute the sound again. I missed a button. That's better. I don't like it when I'm not level, it's like it's just a bit of an OCD thing. There we go. You're probably looking thinking you're still not level, but it's fine. I can live with it. Right, ladies and gents, so no slouching. We're going to stand nice and tall, so we're going to think about posture first. Placing the heels under the hips, toes forward, and relax through the knees. So just allowing your knee joints to soften, so you're not hyperextending and pushing the knees backwards. So as you're standing and your weight's evenly placed through both feet, as we work up through the body, we're going to gently draw our tailbone down towards our heels, so we feel a little bit of length into the lower back. And as you pull your tailbone down, you should also feel that gently pulls the tummy in. Now, once we've got a little connection there into our core, we're going to feel the ribs slightly holding down towards the hips, so we create our square. Then with your palms facing towards your thighs, you're going to roll the shoulders back and slide your fingertips down towards your knees. So you want to feel there's a little connection underneath your shoulder blades to help stabilise and hold the shoulders in place. Now this is where we should stabilise from our shoulders, but sometimes we tend to tense and use the upper traps, and they're the muscles that go from the neck and cause a little bit of discomfort through the neck as well. So we're going to really start to focus on the shoulder blade, just the muscles just between the shoulder blades, and hold the shoulders away from the ears. Then tuck in the chin and draw the chin back towards the throat. So you've got your perfect posture. Keeping your neutral spine, holding the ribs down, we're just going to come to a nice simple double arm float. So with the out breath, you can let the arms just float, no higher than the shoulders, and a breath in as you lower. And first of all, you're going to notice that you're not lifting the ribs or arching into the back. So the tailbone stays softly drawn down, shoulder blades are drawing down to the back of the ribs, so that when you lift your arms, there's no change of distance between the ear and the shoulder. So again, the shoulder blades are pulling down to the back of the ribs as the arms float forward. You're using the out breath on the lift and the in breath as you ease down. And again, aware, just not letting the whole shoulder girdle lift. Now once you've got the movement coming through the shoulders, we add in a double heel raise. Now as you start to lift the heels, you're just going to roll onto the balls of your feet. Try not to curl up with the toes. So you press down through the balls of the feet and pull up with the heels. And you get the feeling you're pulling the crown of the head upwards towards the ceiling. Then you can start to allow your arms to come a little higher. Now as the arms start to come higher, sometimes we're tempted to, as we get to here, to then flare the ribs. So again, maintaining the square between the ribs and the hips, using the out breath as the arms float, and the in breath as they ease down. Out through the mouth. Gently in, and two more. Okay, with your last one, you're going to settle in centre, and then step into tandem stance. So we're going to bring the right foot in front of the left. Softening again through both knees and retucking the bottom and recreating the square. Palms to ceiling, shoulders roll back for our dumb waiter. We breathe in with the out breath, gently squeezing the shoulder blades together. And the in breath as the hands come back in line with the shoulders. Now again, try not to push forward with the ribs or arch into the back. You're trying to use the muscles just between the shoulder blade and the spine. And as you get used to squeezing those muscles to draw the shoulder blades together, it's going to help to strengthen and engage the upper back. And it's also going to start to create a little bit of stretch through the front of your shoulders. And the elbows nice and close to the ribs. Then whenever you're ready, you can start to add a little bit of rotation. So the head turns from one side over to the other. Aware again, you're keeping the chin nodded in and maintaining lots of length through the neck. Breath in as you come to the centre and breathing out as you open. Once more to the left. Bringing the hands down and changing feet. So your left foot placed in front of your right. Again, all 10 toes forward. Soft with the knees, under with the bottom, and connection between the ribs and the hips. Draw the shoulder blades down and keep that feeling of pulling and holding the shoulder blades down as we start to open back to the dumb waiter. Now, this time, hold the arms out, keep the shoulders held down and push the hands just in line with the shoulders. Then pull the elbows back into the ribs and then to the centre. So we open, don't let the shoulders rise. You're holding the shoulder blades right down to the back of the ribs. And when you reach the arms out to the side, you're not trying to straighten the arms, you're just pushing it with the fingertips and then pulling in with your elbows and closing back into the centre. Again, if you look at the shoulders from the back, you squeeze the shoulder blades together, hold them down, push the hands away, and then pull the elbows in and then back to the centre. And it's just starting to train the correct muscles to hold that shoulder girdle in place. Whenever you're ready, you can start to turn the head. So that again just starts to challenge your balance. And just one more there on each side. And let's let the shoulders rise. Keeping your weight evenly placed through both feet. And then resting here in the centre. Bring the feet back, but just a little bit wider than the hips this time. Into neutral spine, and we're going to come into our squats. So your knees gently out towards the toes. Tailbone is tucked, and you're going to push the hips back, keep it in neutral spine, and the ribs and hips connected. Once you're here, we're going to come back to the single arm float. One side, then the other. Press through both heels. Breathe in through the nose. Ribs and hips connected. As the arm lifts, again, still that feeling of drawing the shoulder blade down to the back of the rib. Thinking about the chin, nice and long through the back of the neck. And again, as you feel that you're holding the shoulders back in set position and the ribs aren't flaring, then you might want to lift the arm just a little bit higher. As you lift the arm a little bit higher, you've got to gently draw the tummy back towards the spine to stop the ribs lifting with the arms. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, breath in. Out on the lift, gentle breath in, and breathe out to rise. This time you're going to lift your opposite heel. So your left heel lifts, place it down slowly. Your right heel, place it down, and then push it through both heels. And your challenge is to maintain that neutral spine. It's the opposite arm, opposite heel. And when you come into that heel lift, try not to grip on with the toes. So you're just literally lifting onto the ball of your foot. And when you lift the heel, you should still see your big toe to the inside of the knee. So that constant feeling of slightly pushing the knees out. So you feel how that lifts the arch of your foot. And again, it helps maintain the alignment between the knee and the hip. Now 2 more slowly. Breath in at the bottom, out with the lift, and a breath in as you ease down. So again, as you're breathing out, it's helping to pull the tummy muscles in and holding the ribs and hips towards each other. Now on your next one, your option is to alternate. So as one heel lifts, one heel lowers, and we're going to do 4 at the bottom. So from here, lift your right heel, your left arm, alternate, slowly, don't rush. 2 more, one each side. Heel down, arm down, and push back up to standing. So again, the in-breath, tailbone's tucked. Out breath. Breathe in as you change. Out through the mouth. Knees still pushing, in line with the toes. And then both heels down, both arms down, and push back up tall. 2 more. Tuck the tailbone first. Breath in, out on the change. Try not to let the hips rock from side to side. And then both arms, both heels down, and rise. One last time. Oops, lifting both arms instead there. Keep pushing the knee forward and tucking under with the bottom. And then both heels onto the ground and push up tall. Bring the feet back in under the hips. From here, a little tuck at the bottom so you're in neutral. Then physically push the hips back behind the heels. Hold onto your hip bones. Right foot, we're going to go into our scooter. So your left foot's on the scooter and your right foot is going to just push you along the floor. Now what we're looking for at the back is just a nice straight leg. But at the front, keeping the weight in the heel and trying not to allow it to roll into your toes. You might notice the upper back starts to round and the ribs start to collapse. So really lengthen through the back of the body and open the chest. So again, you still got that feeling of holding the shoulder blades towards each other. Then when you extend your leg, give your bottom a little squeeze and lift the foot, off the floor. Extend and lift. Breath in, out, in through the nose. Breathe out, draw the tummy in. And 2 more. Your last one, hold the leg behind. Hands come down. The opposite arm, so you've got your right leg back and your left arm going to lift and release. Keeping that left knee soft. Try not to again grip through the toes. And as you're lifting that back leg, you're trying to keep your knee and your toes pointing down to the ground. Each time the leg lifts, try not to let the back arch. You've got a slight hinge forward from the hips. Last 2 here. And your 1. And then step your feet together. Hop on your scooter with your right foot. Sit the hips back. So again, you feel the weight more into the heels and not rolling into the toes. Tailbone tucked, hold the hip bones, and then push along with your left foot. Slide it back. Bring it forwards. Breathe out and push. And I want you to fully extend that left leg, so you're reaching back as far as you can. As you're moving the leg, the position to your upper body, you're trying to maintain the alignment of the spine, the openness through the shoulders, that little squeeze between the shoulder blades, and then thinking about the lower back. Especially when you push the leg behind, that's when your lower back will want to arch more. Especially if the hip flexors are tight. Because if the hip flexors are tight and you push the leg back, it's going to pull you into this position. And that means the tummy muscles lengthen and the hip flexors take over because it pulls your back out of position. So as you start to push, you've got to draw the tummy in, and it helps to stretch and open the hip, and it also makes your core work a little bit harder to stop the hip flexors pulling the spine out of neutral position. Then as you extend, that little lift at the back, breathing out as you push back. And once you've got that straight leg, you squeeze your bottom, but you don't let that lower back arch. And again, maybe a little higher. Breathing as you come forward, out to push back and lift. Last time, holding at the back. Hands come down. Don't let the shoulders drop forward with the ears. Reset your upper body. And then when you're ready, your right arm, let's work that one out, and your left leg. Now notice your right foot, you're not gripping with the toes. About 70% of the weight in the heel. Nice strong connection to the ball of the foot, but the toes really free. Thinking about your core as you lift the arm and leg. It's more tempting for the back to arch. That's going to stay really strong now through that midsection. 2, and your 1. And then stepping in and shaking both legs. Okay, from here, a little twist into our lunge next. So we're going to stay in a split lunge. We're going to step our right leg forward, the feet hip distance apart, and hands on the hips, and really square the hips to the front. The back knee sometimes wants to roll inwards. If that happens, the hips drop. So we're going to tuck under the bottom, be aware of the back knee going down to the floor, and the front knee slightly out to that little toe. Ease into the back knee, arms float. Your right arm opens, we come back into the centre, and then we pull up through the crown of the head. We're breathing slow, drawing the tummy in, breathe out to turn, gentle breath in, and breathing out with the rise. Again, aware that back knee is not rolling in. Sometimes the inner thigh wants to stabilise, so it pulls the knee in, and it changes the position of the hips. That's where we need the work on the outer thigh too. So it's keeping that knee held out so you've got constant connection and work through the outer thigh and the hip. In breath, tailbone's tucked. Out breath to turn. Gentle breath in, out on the rise. So you can allow the back knee to go a little deeper just to find the stretch through the front of the hip. And 2 more. It's hot enough already. It did feel really cool when I first came down here. And one last time. Strong in breath, strong out breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth, and step forward. Changing legs. So again, when you step back on a train track rather than a tightrope, lunge on a tightrope are a bit challenging for this morning. Square the hips, draw the tailbone under, roll the shoulders back, tummy slightly drawn back, and then you breathe in. Don't let the front knee move. Use the out breath. Breath into the centre, breathing out on the way up. Sometimes when we turn, that's where the knees and the hips want to also turn. So you're trying to really think about the legs at the bottom. Holding the legs in position, tuck under with the bottom, draw the belly in. So everything stays really grounded. And then you're just encouraging as much rotation through the spine as you can. And as your left arm moves, you're trying to keep that right arm nice and still. So you hold the arm and the shoulder in position. And you've got 2 left on this leg. And the rest of the work, because it's so hot, we're going to do lying down. Not that it's going to get any easier. Last time, breathing in, out breath to turn, gentle breath into centre, out breath and step forward. So the feet come back under the hips. Okay, when you're ready, we can come down to the floor and we're going to start in a side lying position. So coming down in your own way, in a position where you can comfortably see your screen. Both legs out nice and straight to begin with. And we're going to have the ankles, knees, hips, shoulders and ears all aligned. You can always glance down your body, and if you can see your knees, your legs tend to be too far forward. If you can't see your feet, they tend to be too far back. So you're looking to see your toes and the top half of your foot. Then you can rest your head. Relax the shoulders. Option, head resting on arm, a block or a towel here with the arm forward if that feels more comfortable. Right, stability we're looking for between the ribs and the hips. Sometimes when we lift the leg, the hip just naturally collapses up to the back, up to the ribs, sorry, and that means the back's initiating the movement. We're looking to stabilise. So what we're going to do first of all is with the hand on the hip, pull your hip up to your rib. So it's like you're making your top leg shorter than your bottom leg. And then you're going to simply push away. So you feel the space increases and decreases between the rib and the hip. And all you're doing is making that top leg shorter and then your top leg longer. Now notice what happens with the bottom rib. When you make your top leg longer, you should feel that bottom rib ever so slightly lifts away from the ground. And you could just get a little piece of paper sliding underneath. Now this time as you lengthen the top leg, hold and lift. And then pull the hip back to the rib, push the hip away and then lift the leg. So you notice that when you lift your leg, once you've lengthened here, there's no change in position as you then lift from the outer part of the thigh. So the out breath is strong. In breath, and then again out through the mouth, lengthen and lift. So without the hip hitch now, you're going to keep the leg there, the hip pushed away from the rib, and just slowly lift the leg. And see if you can keep lifting the leg without changing that distance between the ribs and the hips. You're breathing out through the mouth with each lift, and in as you lower your leg down. Give your bottom thigh a gentle squeeze. You've got a nice strong straight leg. May challenge your balance just a little, but that's no bad thing. Now you're going to hold your leg at the top. So the foot's just about hip height, pointing your toe, penciling your big toe for your circles. Again, as you're moving now from the hip joint, you're trying to keep the pelvis, the spine, and the ribs still. So start with really small circles. And then as you feel you're keeping the trunk of the body still, you might want to make the circles a little bit bigger. You can rest your fingertips on the floor, but try not to roll forward into your fingers. Hold the shoulder back in set position. Or you can hold the hip and make sure the hip isn't moving. One more circle, and then take the circles the opposite way. Still gently squeezing into that bottom leg. Is there any change, any movement coming through the spine? You're gently holding the belly button softly back. If that's all well, make the circles a little bit bigger if you can. Try and keep the toes and the knee pointing forward. One more, and then at the top you get to rest your legs down. Bring your arm above your shoulder and roll your shoulder back. Double leg lift. I'm going to take a little pull over, reaching towards the fingers on the floor, or again with your hands forward, just reaching towards the ground. Now as we add in the pull over with the double leg lift, we're still trying to make sure that we're not pressing the ribs down into the ground as we lift the legs. So you've still got that slight feeling of making the top leg longer, so that when you lift, you're not collapsing through your midsection. You're breathing out through the mouth, and a gentle breath in to the centre. Just trying to lightly touch the fingers on the ground. Try not to bend the elbow as you come down. Reach, so it feels like your ribs are just gently drawing, easing away from the hips. 2 more. It's nice for a stretch. And resting in the middle. So you're going to bring the hand down just in front of the ribs and reset your shoulder. We're now going to lift both legs. Top leg just in line with the hip and bottom foot hovering off the ground. Neutral spine, and everything from your hips and above stays still. We scissor the legs, one leg forward, one leg back, and then into the centre slowly. Breathe in as you open. Now breathe out and close. In and open, out and close. So again, the movement coming from the hip sockets, pelvis, the spine, the ribs, all stay in set position. Then if you want to bring a little bit of work back into the shoulder, you can lift the arm. As you open the legs, press the arm forward, holding the shoulder back, and then pull the arm back to the centre. Breathe in as you open, out, pull back. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Gently squeeze into the front of your thighs, the legs are really switched on and strong. And then again, without losing neutral spine, so you can make the movement just a little bit bigger. Out breath, pull back with the tummy. Once more each way. And hopefully feel how much work the outer thigh does too. So bring the legs down. You're going to roll over, come face down to the floor first. We'll do some work for the back before we work onto the other side. So as we come face down onto the floor, first option, elbows at 90. Now we're going to lift from here and we're going to make a W, pulling the elbows into the ribs, back to 90 degrees, and then lowering back to the ground. So when you're ready, lengthen the back of the neck, bring the elbows out in line with the shoulders, and create space between the ears and the shoulders. So again, we're trying to work just around the shoulder blades, just underneath them. So draw the shoulder blades back into the ribs, gently draw your tailbone to your heels, so you feel your belly button lifting. Take a breath in. Out breath, lifting both hands. Breath in, pull the elbows to your ribs, breathe out to the centre, and a breath in to lower. So out breath on the lift. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, breath in to release. You're trying to keep your forearms parallel to the ground as you lift and as you lower. At the same time when you lift, you're trying not to force the belly back into the ground. Now from here, your option is to reach forward, back to 90 degrees, and then lower. So you lift, sorry I missed the first bit, pull back to your W, reach forward, Elbows stop back in line with the shoulders at 90, and then you lower back down. So all we've added on is from the W, reaching forward, still keeping the belly lifted, back to 90 degrees, and lowering. Now you're going to try and focus on keeping your bottom relaxed. And then that's going to help to work your core muscles and your back muscles more, because your glutes aren't trying to take over. So give me 3 more if you can. Keeping that forehead just hovering off the ground. And your eye gaze staying down towards the floor. And your last one. Breath in, out, in, and release. Okay, from there, we're going to come to the other side, and we're going to revisit that afterwards. So, in your own time, come to your sideline position on the other side. So as we get ourselves aligned again, from the ankles to the ears, should be able to draw a line all the way through those major joints. Relax the neck, relax the shoulders. Make sure I don't turn you off. And then push that top leg slightly away. So feeling the space here to begin with. And also, acknowledging there's a little bit of space here at the same time. Shoulders and neck relaxed. You can have the hand on the hip or on the floor. Just feel the hip pulls up to the rib, and then push the hip away from the rib. So you feel as you pull the hip up, that bottom rib will come down to the ground. And hopefully as you push that top leg away, you'll feel how it just gently lifts the rib cage back up off the ground. So again, breathe in, pull the hip up high, and then breathe out, push. Gives you quite a nice stretch underneath as well. Then whenever you're ready, when you push the leg away, add in the leg lift. So the hip slides to the rib, lengthen and lift. Again, gently squeeze in the bottom thigh. So it's a really strong, straight leg. And this is just training the correct muscles to switch on for stability, and then the muscles in the outer part of the thigh working for the lift. And again, these muscles can get a little bit weak sometimes too, because we initiate from the back. The more we stabilise the back, the more we get the lift coming from here. And again, that muscle runs right down the outside of your thigh and can give you much more stability and support through the knees too. Now without moving the hip, just the leg, lower and lift. So you keep the hand rested on the hip or hand on the ground. Either position, your shoulder wants to stay gently held back. Breathe out with each lift and a breath in as you ease the leg down. Aim to keep the knee and the toes pointing forward. Sometimes the foot starts to want to turn, so it gets working into different muscles. And we'll keep the work here on the outer thigh. 2 more for the lift. And your 1. And then holding. Point your toe. Keep the knee forward without moving the spine or the hips. We're going to circle that top leg around. And you want to feel like your foot moves around your hip socket. Try and relax the neck, relax the shoulders. Gently tuck under with the tailbone. So then again, that's helping to keep the pelvis still. Then you've got much more work again, all around that hip joint. 2 more circles in this direction. And then change direction, the opposite way around. Now keep lengthening as you're circling, reaching away into the toes. It makes it so much harder. Breathe out on the way up. Breath in as it eases down. In through the nose, out through the mouth. A little bit bigger if you can. And again, your last 3. Legs feeling heavy now. 2. And with your last one, as you come to the top, you're going to bring your leg down gently. Arm comes above your shoulder. Squeeze your thighs, lengthen that top leg again. Take a breath in, and with the out breath, reaching towards the floor. Breath in, rest the legs. Now again, as you're lifting both legs, it's probably a little bit more tempting to push the ribcage down to the ground and end up squashing here again. So again, think about keeping that top leg as long as possible, stretching away. So you're trying to push your fingers far away from your toes as you can. use that out breath as you reach over. Now just notice the rib cage isn't flaring forwards. So you still got that belly button softly holding back to the spine. And just give me 2 more here. And then you're ready. You're fully prepared for your scissor legs. You can bring the hand back to the hip, or it can rest on the ground. Reset the shoulders, let any tension go out of the neck. Top leg lifts in line with the hip. Bottom foot hovers. Tailbone tucks, so the pelvis is still and your hip bones are pointing forwards. And as you're moving your legs, you're trying not to let the hips rock backwards and forwards. Setting concrete from your hips and above. So you're really locking in through your core. And then if you want to work a little bit harder, arm lifts, and as your legs open, the arm comes down, and then we pull back to the centre. Breathing into lower, out on the way up. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In. Notice the ribs don't push forward as you pull the arm back. See if you take the legs a little bit wider. And twice more. And then you get to rest again in the centre. From here you're just going to turn back over, come face down onto the ground. This time we get the legs working, and then we should bring our arms and legs together. So as we lie down, you can bring your hands forward first of all, and let your head have a rest. Shoulders relax, legs out nice and long, and you're just going to tuck under with your toes. From here, drawing the tailbone softly towards the heels, and you're just going to squeeze your right knee to lift your knee off the floor and place it back down, then your left knee and place it down. Nice and simple. So as you lift the knee, you're trying not to crush back down with your tummy. You're trying to hold the belly button slightly away from your mat. Now you can either stay with this knee lift and work on holding neutral spine, or you come onto the tops of your toes. You still squeeze the knee, but then you lift the leg and lower. Squeeze the knee, lift the leg and lower. So what you're trying to create is a straight leg. So that when you lift, you're not using your hamstrings, you're using your glutes. Sometimes we're really dominant with the hamstrings and they want to take over every movement we do with the legs. So by squeezing the front of the thigh and keeping the legs straight, that stops the hamstrings being as active. And hopefully that's making your bottom do more of the work. Always remembering the knee lift. Now resting. Bring the arms out in front, thumbs to the ceiling. If you prefer that first move we did, you can work from here, working into your W, doing 2, 1 with each leg, and then lowering back down. If you feel okay, the arms are long, thumbs to ceiling, eye gaze down, and shoulder blades down to the back of the ribs. Now we're going to lift our right leg, both arms. Open to a Y, to a T, to your W, keeping the belly button gently lifted, to your T, to your Y, to your L, and lower. Squeeze your left knee. Lift the arms and the left leg. Keep drawing the belly button to the back. Arms from your Y to your T. Squeeze the elbows in for a W. To your T, to your Y, to your L, and lower. Sometimes we tend to use that lower back to lift. So if you imagine you've got a little egg underneath your belly button, and when you lift, you're trying not to squash your egg. Now remember, squeezing right through the front of the thighs, you lift that leg. So next, the glutes working, the lift and the hold. And then your option now is to lift both legs. If you're lifting both legs, squeeze your thighs, lift the legs, draw the belly button to the back, and then work through your arm pattern. At any point it feels too much, you can rest the legs and just work with the arms, or you can rest the head and just come back to the knee lifts, single leg lifts, or your double leg lifts. Either way, you've got 4 more to work with. When you're lifting the upper and lower body, your weak spot will be in the middle of your spine. And that's where your back's going to try and push down to the floor, because your back tends to be stronger than your tummy sometimes. So you've got to really work on holding the belly button away from the ground to try and make sure the tummy muscles are holding the spine in place and you're not using that lower back for the lift. So thinking about lengthening still, you're pulling the crown of the head forward and the tailbone down to the heels. And as you're lifting and moving with the arms, you're trying to maintain that lengthening feeling. From the crown of the head, all the way down to the tailbone. Working slowly into your last one. And then as you come into your last one, you can definitely have a rest. Bring the hands back under the shoulders. Squeeze in with your elbows and roll the shoulders back. Push through the heels of your hands, up onto your hands and knees, so the knees come in underneath of your hips. Take a cat stretch first, so you're going to tuck under the tailbone and keep the upper back flat, and then roll through the spine and look towards your thighs. And then lower the tummy and let your eye gaze come forwards. Once more, drawing the belly up, tucking in with the chin, and then looking forwards and back in to the centre. Staying in box position. Now sometimes when in box, the weight goes back into the knees and you can lift both hands really easily without any effort. So what we're going to do is push your head forward with your hands so you feel the weight in the heels of your hands. Roll the shoulders back and point your elbows back towards your knees, so you corkscrew the shoulder blades in. From here you're going to lift your right hand, reach it forward and then lift it towards the ear, back to the floor and then back into the centre. Without rocking through your shoulders, lift your left hand just an inch, reach it forward, little finger touches the floor and then lift the arm. Now as you're doing this, you're still keeping the head forward with the hands. As you lift your right hand, you're gently pressing through the heel of your left hand to help stabilise your shoulders. So what you're trying to avoid is as you reach one hand forward, the shoulders collapsing. We're trying to keep the shoulders really level here. Thinking about neutral spine at the same time. And when you lift the arm, try and make sure the thumb points towards the ceiling. Now if you're happy with just working with your hands, continue with your hands. If you want to challenge your core again a little bit more, you lift your right hand, your left knee, lengthen, touch the ground, and then lift. Touch the ground, and then come back to the centre. Lift and hover, extend and hold. Lift the arm and the leg, straight leg, back to the floor, and then reset. Now trying to make your transition seamless from one side to the other. Hold a little hover first, hold it, lengthen, then lift. Come back to the ground, to a hover and release. So hover the hand and the knee, push the arm forward and the foot back, squeeze into the back of the shoulder as you lift the arm, hover and then place it down. Now the head might start to sink, so keeping that length into the neck. And 2 more on each side if you can. If at any point you need to have a rest, feel free just to sit back onto the heels. Find that hover, find that length, and then feel the back of the body as you lift the arm and the leg up. Back to that hover, and one last time. Hands on the shoulders, and then pull the hips back towards your heels. Try and tuck under a little with the bottom, and feel the belly button drawing back towards the spine. And then you can walk your hands forward a little further. Press the fingertips down to the ground like you're trying to grip the floor, Now with the hips holding back to the heels, this is just a little exercise in itself to again work into the stability muscles around the shoulders. So press your fingertips down and try and pull yourself forward with your fingers and then relax. Again, press down with the fingers and just try and pull yourself forward and then relax. And as you press down with your fingertips and try and pull yourself forward, you should feel the work just again underneath those shoulder blades and relax. Again, press down, breathe out, pull forwards, and a breath in, release. And twice more, press down, pull forwards, hold it, and then release. One more time, press into the fingers. Now try to pull forward with your fingertips, and then relaxing. Come back into box when you're ready. Knees under hips, tuck under your toes, walk the hands back, and roll onto your feet. You're going to lift the hips, allow yourself to hang for a second or two. When you're hanging, let the head come down, let the chin tuck in, and then just let gravity do its work. Let the head get a little bit heavier each time you breathe out. Nice big breath in, feel like you're opening the back of your ribs, and then breathing out and sinking the head. Soften the knees, tuck under the bottom, and just take a restack through the spine. So we've really focused today on working through the muscles just underneath the shoulder blades, the ones that are supposed to help stabilise our shoulders. And what we're going to do next is just make sure the ones that are a bit overactive neck sometimes get a nice stretch. So the hands by your thighs. You're going to reach the hands down so you feel the shoulders going to pull away from the ears. Your right hand keeps reaching to the floor. Your left ear to your left shoulder. You might find if you're a little tight there, the shoulder either lifts or you end up bending through the spine. So stay tall, pull up through the top of the head, pull this right shoulder down and just take the ear across. Don't move the spine. Then when you're ready, bring your chin down towards your shoulder, like you're trying to look over your left shoulder. Then you're going to try and just gently walk your right hand down a little bit further down towards the knee. And hopefully as you feel then you're taking the hand further down and bring the chin to the opposite shoulder, we get much more stretch into the back of the neck. And again, that's that muscle we tend to use a lot when we're cold, when we're stressed, when we're carrying things. So again, it's just nice to allow that one to relax for a change. When you've had enough, just bring your head forward and then back into the centre. Reset your shoulders, reach down towards the ankles, tuck under with the bottom, so get nice and strong through your core. Try not to move the spine, just the neck, so it's the ear towards the shoulder. Sometimes that tendons try and go further. Shoulders should stay level and the movement stretch just through the neck. Walk your fingertips down. Once you feel the stretch here, from the back of the ear roughly towards the top of the shoulder, then you can deepen the stretch by bringing the chin down towards the collarbone. Again, don't let that left shoulder lift. Don't let the shoulders tip. Still trying to keep your shoulders level, so start to walk your left hand down. As you're reaching that left hand down, you feel much more stretch into the back of the neck. And it feels quite nice compared to some of the other exercises. When you're ready, eye gaze to the centre, head back up tall, tailbone stays tucked. You're going to clasp both hands, reach them up towards the ceiling and press your knuckles away. Now you can lift your rib cage and then gently squeeze the arms back. So you're taking your back into extension. As you're doing this, the knees are soft, tailbone's ever so slightly tucked, and then again push the arms a little bit higher if you can, and gently just easing back with your rib cage. Big breath in, and your out breath, hands come back above the head, and pull your shoulder blades back down towards the ribs, hands to thighs. Shoulders can now lift up towards the ears, and then let them drop. And again, breathe in, lift them, and release them. And once more. And applaud yourself, ladies and gents. Well worked. Now you can enjoy